see this little cone filter? It's cracked. Hey guys, welcome to Life of P&K. The car is behind me. Always a wonderful sight to see. It always looks beautiful, especially in this white color. In this video, I want to talk a little bit more about intakes, specifically the real life feel of an intake. So let's get started and let's see what this video has to bring us. So guys, let me tell you why I actually said that filter is crap, and let me give you a little bit of a background story with the BMW and an MST intake. A while ago, I purchased the MST intake. And it was good fit. It's obviously, this is the LCI model, so there's a couple things that doesn't fit quite right, but it's a good fit overall. It could be user error or whatnot, but the actual cone filter that comes with the MST intake didn't fit quite well, and it was rubbing off on one of the mounting brackets. I'll show you this in a little bit. So I decided to replace it with a different filter. Moving forward, after a lot of research, I was trying to get something that will fit, that won't rub on this specific supporting bracket. And I got this cone filter from Green Filters, whatnot. It's just a basic mesh filter. It's a little bit smaller with the actual cone filter that comes with the MST intake, but I think it was going to do the job. Or at that point, I thought it was going to do a really good job, and also it's going to fit very well. Nothing against the specific flow of this filter, because there's no way for me to test it, but I'll tell you what I experienced in the real world driving, and I think that's what is important to most of you guys. So after putting the filter on, the car was obviously fine, but going on the highway, switching between gears in normal traffic, trying to get a little bit of ump to pass cars and stuff like that, it felt like the car was running out of breath, just like I am right now, basically, because I'm talking and not breathing. But that's what the car actually felt like, especially at the top end. There was not enough air going to the engine. It felt sluggish, it felt slow. So it could be something to do with how well this filter flowed, but also it could be the size of the filter. And I started thinking, I started doing a little bit of research, and I wanted to find a better filter for the car, which I did. I'll show you in a minute. It's already installed, I've already tested it. It works wonderful. So running with this for a while, I gave it a chance. I gave it as best chance as possible. Car was running fine, but always at the top RPM, when you're trying to accelerate quickly to pass a car in traffic, it felt sluggish. It felt like it didn't have the power that it used to have before with the previous cone filter. So after a lot of research, I decided to go with ProRam or RamAir. You can guys call it any way you want to. I like to call it ProRam or RamAir. You guys can call it any way you want to. I think I use both. I use ProRam and RamAir. There's two cone filters that fit our cars. One is actually this size, which I thought it would be kind of strange because I was not happy with the size of the filter. It felt weird. Maybe the ProRam filter was giving better airflow. And then there's a bigger cone filter, which, and mind you, both of this size, the short snobby nose and the bigger one, they don't fit the top of the MST intake. So you have to run the MST intake, I'll show you in a minute, but you have to run the MST intake without the top cover. And you guys are gonna say, oh, but what about the heat, especially here in Florida, it's always hot. How is that gonna impact the car? I'll talk about that towards the end of the video as well. Again, back to the topic. I decided to go with the bigger filter. There's a couple people on the BMW forums that have actually used this filter and it fit. But I think they used the shorter one. I decided to go with the biggest one possible. And also the nicest thing about this filter is it comes with a Velocity Stack, and that's really impressive. I ran that on my GTI in the previous videos, you guys can see. I love the Velocity Stack. I think it provides the best performance when it comes to filters. But the problem with our cars is the actual pipe that goes to the actual turbo, it's not very, it's kind of meant to move, to flex a little bit. So if you get a pipe that goes from the turbo to the actual filter, there's no support brackets, and it gets too heavy, so it falls down and it touches that supporting bracket that the MST intake was actually touching previously. And that's again probably due to my install. I didn't point the filter correctly. So I was thinking what to do. So in a way, I designed my own intake with the support of MST, and I'll show you what I mean by that now. However, I wish there was a manufacturer that actually made a pipe like that with a support bracket. It would have been perfect. Without further ado, let me show you what I did. So here's what the car actually looks like. From here, I think it looks beautiful right now too. Obviously, it doesn't have the MST layer, so it's open. It's open to the elements. No worries, like if it rains, stuff like that, it doesn't go through. You have your rubber gaskets here, so there's no way of the filter getting wet. And it barely fit. Again, mind you, this is the biggest of the two offerings, and it barely fit. You can see the velocity stack. This area is meant to fit the velocity stack. And then you have a little connector that they actually provide from this place. And here it is I use the MST shield here and the MST pipe with the MST silicone connector down there. So it all fits perfect. And let me show you what I mean is where I say it rubbed. You guys can tell here. You can see how this right here rubbed, the MST filter rubbed on this little bracket. So what I did is for this filter to fit, you can remove these two screws and kind of adjust this a little bit, move it this way, adjust this a little bit, and now it's a very, very snug fit. You can tell it doesn't touch. It has about what, half an inch space, and here also about half an inch space. So with the smaller one, it'll be probably about to here, so it will fit a little bit better. But I wanted to get something as big as possible to see if it have an effect versus the cone filter over there. So I wanted to compare literally. But overall this fits perfect. And again, the reason why I have to reuse the MST is the pipe and also this little supporting bracket. Even though it doesn't fit very well on the LCI models, it's enough, and it supports, it holds this pipe up because this moves too much. But overall, I think it looks great. It fits really nicely. Talking about heat, being in Florida, talking about the heat and how it will perform. Keep in mind that we don't have air-to-air intercooler here. We have water-to-air, I think it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But it actually uses coolant to cool down the actual air into the car. So to me, the heat is not very concerning. I would say probably about 5 degrees maybe will be the difference with running it open or closed. To me, it doesn't matter because it also kind of creates a seal. You can see there's obviously it's open here, but it sort of creates a little seal with air. And then you have cold air coming through here from the front, from the grill. So that was my thinking behind it, that was my theory. Now let's talk about the actual day-to-day driving after changing from the small cone filter to this wonderful RamAir filter. From the beginning, you can sense the difference. When you try to pass, even if it's not in sport mode, it's in comfort and so on, the car has the get-go, like it doesn't struggle for air, it doesn't grasp for air, it just, takes off. This wasn't happening with the smaller cone filter over there, here. It wasn't happening, like it felt sluggish. Now it's up to par. Now it goes when you want it to go. And it feels way, way different. Actually, I want to say it feels better than the MST intake itself. I can't explain it, but you have to feel it driving. I'm not saying it gives it more power. I'm just saying it gives it more reaction when you need the power there. And at the top end, it's not gasping for air. It's actually, you can hear it like sucking in that air. Again, you're not going to get any power difference from this. What I think the benefit of this is better reaction time when it comes to that. It feels better, like more reactive for the car. And also the noise is a little bit different. It's about the same as the MST intake, but I'll show you a couple clips of me driving by. It feels a little bit different. It feels a little bit better. It sounds a little bit better. Actually, let me show you what it sounds like now if the car is stationary. So this is what it sounds stationary. Not much difference, I would say, from stock. You can kind of hear the turbo a little bit better. But let me show you some drive-bys here. I'm not going to go super fast. I just want to have you guys hear the noise.